Today we're talking about how you can easily make $100,000 this year as a new or experienced realtor. The reason why the majority of agents are not closing many deals this year is because you're missing one fundamental principle of real estate. You might have a great work ethic, but how do you actually make money every month when there are fewer homes being sold since the 2008 crash? It's simple really, but it's one of the hardest things to learn because your brokers, your team leaders, your mentors are all giving you the wrong advice. The good news is there is a right answer. I've analyzed thousands of agents that have closed 0 deals over the last year. They all made the same critical mistake, only focusing on the buyers and sellers. This new strategy I'm gonna teach you has generated me millions of dollars in net commission. And it's also worked for the hundreds of agents I've taught. It works in this current market no matter where you live. So in this video, I'm gonna break down my new strategy, which I can promise you've never heard before. This is the 5 proven frameworks to make over $100,000 as a new realtor in the worst market we've had in decades. By the way, I'm Andy Coleman. I've closed over 800 transactions, made millions in net commission, and was the #2 EXP agent in the world last year. I did it all by doing something that's never been done in the history of real estate as a new agent in a new state with no network, no sphere of influence. It's what I'm teaching you today. How you can easily close your next deal within a week by working with renters. But it gets much better than that. If you're like me or some of the agents I've taught, you can make over $40,000 every month by doing this in the next couple months. Renters are the most overlooked class of clients a realtor can work with. Your entire real estate career, everyone you've looked up to has told you to avoid renters like the plague, that they don't make any money, that you'll just be wasting your time spinning your wheels. But look where their advice to only work with buyers and sellers has gotten you. You've closed fewer deals this year than you wanted to. Am I right? But it's not hard to figure out why. There's about a 10-to-1 ratio of renters to buyers in 2025. That's right, for every 1 buyer, there are 10 people renting a house. That's why this market is only bad if you're only focusing on the buyers and sellers. But if you focus on the renters, this is by far the best market you can be in the history of real estate. I'm going to explain the 5 core frameworks of exactly how to generate hundreds of free leads per day. Convert those leads into clients, do 0 showings per renter, close at least 10 rentals per month, then how to convert your renters into buyers. If you master this system, you'll close over 10 deals per month, just like me. But it gets even better than that. If you thought making $100,000 was nice, just wait, because I'll show you how you can make $1 million a year using this rental system within your next 2 years. I'll break all this down so you can copy exactly what I've done for the last 5 years in a row. Okay, let's dive in. I have 3 main rental strategies in my system that I'll teach you, but each one has the same general framework that can be applied with slight variations. The first is my MLS strategy. The second is my apartment locator strategy. The third is my rental listing strategy. Now, let's apply the 5-step framework to each one of these strategies so you can start closing deals within the next few days after watching this video. Step 1 is to generate a lead. You need a consistent way to bring in rental leads. Without this, you have no business. For MLS or apartment complexes, you need to ask for permission to advertise another agent's rental listing. You can then post these on free platforms like Facebook Marketplace. There are ways to increase the quality and amount of leads, but doing on Facebook Marketplace is the best way to learn. I was making $250,000 a year from Facebook Marketplace before I graduated to a more advanced platform, which I will talk about later, so I don't want to confuse you too much now. If you do this correct, you can generate hundreds of free leads per day. That's thousands per month without spending a nickel. To get rental listings, you can go on a site like Zillow to get the contact information for a FRBO, which is for rent by owner. Or there are paid sites like RedX that you can use as well to increase the ease of finding these landlord leads. You can also call canceled or expired rental listings from your MLS. Again, it's 100% free if you use that method. This is the foundation of the entire strategy, Because remember, you need leads constantly coming in every single day. Now, you can cherry pick these leads so you only work with the best credentials, but if you want to take it one step further, you can work with lower credit, lower income, evictions. I've mastered getting lower qualified tenants into properties like you wouldn't even believe. That's one of my secrets to how I was closing 20 to 30 deals per month as a solo agent. But having a ton of leads doesn't matter if you know how to convert them. That's next. So step 2 is to convert leads to clients. Once leads pour in, you need to separate serious prospects from tire kickers quickly. Remember, these renters need to move right away. So these deals are fast, easy commission checks that you will consistently close every few days. If you're worried about people that have under a 650 credit score, those are actually the easiest leads to convert to clients. To do this, you need to develop clear communication scripts that you can memorize, because nobody wants to feel like they're talking to somebody that's just reading from a script. For instance, when someone inquires about a rental listing on Facebook Marketplace, I respond immediately with a short, specifically designed message. The ultimate goal being to get them off of Facebook Messenger and on the phone with you. Rapid response here is key. If you don't answer quickly, they'll move on to another agent. From there, you need to convince them to work with you by providing value. You want to show them backup options as well in case the initial property doesn't work out. But if you're trying to get rental listings, you need to give the landlord a few options of how you can help them. For example, you can tell the landlord that you'll list their property in the MLS for a small fee. But there are many ways that you can actually convince a landlord to get a rental listing. By consistently offering value upfront, like more rental options or exclusive deals, you become their go-to agent. As long as you respond quickly, build a relationship, then follow up daily, they will stay incredibly loyal to you, so they don't go to another agent. When you impress them at this early stage, they are far more likely to trust you for the next steps, including bigger purchases down the road. Then they're gonna refer you to their family and friends. But how do you handle these leads without spending hours on the road doing showings? Let's talk about that next. Step 3 is to create a no showing system. Showings can eat up huge chunks of your time. If you're aiming for high volume, you can't drive to every single property. I teach 3 main methods to do 0 to 3 showings at the very most per client that you're gonna work with. An example of the 0 showing method is to pre-screen the tenant first before ever stepping foot into a property. Have them do your background check, your credit report, your eviction report, and rental application. Get them to give you proof of income, their driver's license, before you even do a showing. I personally like to use Rentspree. It's universally accepted, so you can just copy and paste the rental application for almost any place that they want. If you guys want to sign up, check the description for my free Rentspree link. Then, after the client does that, put in a pre-offer with your full package to make sure the listing agent and landlord accepts them first. Now, this is easier said than done if you've never done this before. Be extremely careful if you're gonna try this advanced strategy, because if you screw it up, they will ghost you real fast. That's why I recommend newer agents do a traditional approach first before trying this advanced method. This is another reason why I close 30 deals a month. So if you want to save tens of thousands of hours of trial and error, check the description below to see how I can help you. Otherwise, make sure that property works for them first before doing the showing. For landlords to get rental listings, make sure they are serious before you go to their property to do a rental presentation. This step is critical to handling 10 or more deals every single month. You're drastically cutting down the time you're gonna spend on the road, allowing you to focus more on the leads, then close more deals. Once you master this no showing strategy, you're ready to scale to a double-digit amount of closings every single month. That's why step number 4 is to close 10 or more deals every single month. Working with renters is a volume game. The more efficiently you handle leads, the more deals you're gonna close. Keep refining your systems and processes. Remember, this took me years to master. Don't get discouraged if it takes you some time to figure these things out. For MLS rentals, focus on the half a month's rent commission, or whatever region typically pays you. Combine that with a transaction fee for each and every tenant that you work with. If your market only pays, let's say, $300 per deal, add a $400 transaction fee. Then you're still making about $700 for about 2 hours of work. The trick here is to be able to juggle all of these leads, clients, offers, rentals, closings, all at the same time. You're not just working with a few people at once. You're working with dozens of tenants at the same time because each rental is so much easier than the average sale, which can take up to 80 hours of work compared to a rental, which is only about 2 hours of work. All you need is a lease agreement, 1 month's rent as a deposit, and then maybe have them apply to an HOA if there is one in your area. That's it. Rentals are simple. There's almost nothing that can go wrong compared to a house sale. I make about $2,000 per deal in my area, meaning I'm making $1,000 per hour. Even if you're in an area that pays less than that, you can still make $300 an hour consistently, which is gonna transform your entire life. Once you hit 10 rentals a month, that's $6,000 for lower commission areas, or $20,000 for higher commission areas. Then if you're doing my rental listing strategy by working with the landlords, you're gonna get a full month's rent commission almost every single time. That can easily be $3,000 per listing that you're gonna get if you double end them. Then you'll have the benefit of getting extra tenant leads from each rental listing. From there, it's a rinse and repeat approach that scales over time with referrals, repeat clients, and the best part of it all, where the real magic happens, turning renters into buyers, which is step number 5, how to turn a renter into a buyer. There's 2 ways to turn a renter into a buyer using my rental system. Active renters at a very low percentage, then closed renters at a very high percentage. This is a short but also long-term play that can take your income from good to great to incredible. Every renter you help is a potential buyer, some right now, some in the future. You might start by converting just 1 out of every 10 renters into a buyer now, but as you nurture these relationships, that can skyrocket way past 30%. Meaning, if you close 10 rentals a month, you can easily convert at least 1 renter into a buyer every single month. So if you're in a lower commission state, this is where your income goes from good to great. I have multiple agents that I have taught that convert 2, sometimes 3 renters into buyers every month using this strategy. I've done it myself for years. Say you only make $6,000 a month off of the 10 closed rentals like we talked about before. Now you add on that extra $10,000 from the renter that you turned into a buyer, you've just made $16,000 in commission in 30 days. Over the next 12 months, that's $192,000 in income. Do you still think that we're in a bad market? I don't think so. Now, doing these 5 frameworks, that's well over the $100,000 a year that I told you I would teach you how to make. All starting from a tiny little $300 commission that you initially thought was a waste of your time. But if you're in an area like mine, you can literally start making $500,000 a year just like me. Remember, you can also apply this to landlords. Instead of having the landlord use you to rent their house, you can turn them into a seller instead. That is extremely advanced, so if you want to learn this, check out the link in the description below. But if you're not in an area that you can make $500,000 a year like I am now by working with renters at a high commission rate, I'm gonna show you how you can make significantly more than that with a little bit of planning and a teeny bit of patience. I'm gonna explain to you the second way how to turn 30% of your closed renters into buyers, where you can make over $1 million a year. But first, let's go over why my never before done rental strategy is so powerful in this current housing market where 90% of realtors are failing. It's exactly why MLS rentals, your single family homes, your townhomes, your villas, your duplexes, why they are so important to your business. It's an almost endless pool of potential clients, but it's all free. If you ask for permission to advertise those listings, you don't even have to get your own. But don't forget, you can also get your own rental listings, which is gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Then on top of that, you can do apartment complexes, which I like to call apartment locating. Many apartment complexes pay a full month's rent as commission, sometimes even more for bringing them a qualified tenant. If you're doing 10 or 20 rentals a month, imagine how quickly those commission checks add up. Then the third piece of the puzzle is getting rental listings yourself using my FRBO, which is for rent by owner, strategy. When you get these landlords, you become the listing agent, collecting a full month's rent as your commission. All you have to do is bring them a tenant. Combine these three rental strategies, MLS properties, apartment locating, for rent by owner listings, you'll adapt to any market. It can be a pandemic, a recession, depression, buyer's market, seller's market, or a neutral market. No matter what, you're gonna have a steady flow of renters coming in daily, many of whom will eventually become buyers, then become sellers. But I'm sure you've been waiting for the best part of this entire video: how you can scale to $1 million a year without having to struggle in real estate for decades. It's all about nurturing your closed renters until they become buyers. You can now convert 30% of your closed renters into buyers every single year following my 369 plus weekly email system that I created. Let me explain how this works. But if you close 300 rentals over the next 2 years, do the math on that. Now you'll be able to close an additional 90 buyers per year. That's how you can make over $1 million in commission, depending on the area that you live in. Because 50% of tenants eventually buy a home. All you need to do is capture 30% of them to make $1 million just a couple years into my rental system. So if you thought making a few $100,000 a year was nice, just wait, because the real money is made when you do this. My 369 system works like follows. Check in every few months with the tenant that you just placed into a rental property. You're gonna have different objectives for every check-in. For example, on month number 9, you wanna ask if they're renewing their lease or if they're thinking about moving. Depending on what they say, you can help them find a new rental, or most importantly, turn them into a buyer. This can get really advanced because you don't want to push them if it doesn't make sense financially. If you do this wrong, you're going to scare them off. Then you're going to potentially lose referrals. So if you want to learn how to correctly convert 30% of your closed renters into buyers, drop a comment below and let me know if you want me to make a brand new video on this. But if you're doing the 369 system correctly, in addition to that, every single week, you're gonna have to send an email to each closed renter. Now, this is to say top of mind. It's very important that you don't sell them anything in these emails. All you want to do here is provide value. Let me give you some examples of weekly content that you're gonna send out through email marketing. It could be top 10 best local restaurants in your area, top tips on how to buy your first house, mortgage rate updates for the first month. I think you see where I'm going with this. By the way, you can use any email marketing platform that you like. Personally, I like Constant Contact. So if you want access to all of my 52 free templates, I'm gonna drop the link in the description so you guys can sign up. Now, that's the general framework of how you can make over $1 million a year by turning 30% of your closed renters into buyers. So to recap, we covered how to generate hundreds or thousands of leads every month for free. Convert those leads into clients that stay loyal to you. Use a streamlined no showing strategy to save hours of time to boost volume. Consistently close 10 plus rental deals every month to earn constant, fast income. Ultimately, convert renters into buyers to earn well over $1 million a year following the 369 system. Remember, this market isn't bad. It's just different. By pivoting, focusing on the renters, you open up a whole world of deals 99% of agents ignore. That means you have no competition. Your rental market has not been saturated yet. So if you do this now, you can become the go-to rental expert in your area. You're gonna have leads coming out of your ears. You're gonna be closing deals left and right. I promise you this. If you follow these 5 frameworks, and my follow-up system, you can scale your real estate business to 6 or 7 figures in just a few short years. But if you want a deeper dive into the exact tactics I use to master my system within the next couple months, check out the link in the description to either book a call with me or sign up. Guys, I just gave you a tremendous amount of value. Please return the favor to me. Just give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with a struggling realtor friend. If you have any questions at all, please drop them in the comments. I am more than happy to answer them. Also, if you like this video, click on the video above to see how Evelyn, a single mother of 5 kids who was about to lose everything, made $14,000 in 30 days after using my rental system.